What should you do when your beliefs or ideology conflict with the prevailing beliefs of your interests? To break the cycle of pandemic reclusion, I've wanted to get out and exercise my hobbies, but I've run into a problem. My beliefs conflict with those stereotypical of my interest groups. My interest lies mainly in the arts, theater, singing, Shakespeare, and cosplay, and that work is where I come alive and thrive. Unfortunately, the theater and cosplay communities have slowly become the exclusive domain of rabid leftists. Yeah, many such cases. In the nostalgic Norman Rockwell past, differences in worldview may have been accepted and tolerated to produce a philosophically deeper and more well-rounded production, but the left's intolerance for anything other than its own dogma has seemed to end that era. In light of this ideological hegemony, I'd more likely than not be unable to connect with my fellow hobbyists on any deep philosophical level. Okay, so here are some options, because you are in a position that many people, I think, find themselves. I would count myself as somebody who likes a lot of the stuff that typically now gets quote unquote coded blue, right? And it's kind of a terrible double bind because, you know, those things themselves are very beautiful and good. They are not always conformable to like conservative, to the most sort of straitjacketed and caricatured idea of conservative thought, right? If you think of yourself as somebody that can only kind of like live according to certain regimented rules, then like art is going to be tricky because it exists in many ways to kind of play around the edges of the rules, to explore the variety of human experience. And so it's doubly bad because you can get kind of accused of being a traitor if you go off into this, like, you know, into these other realms of life, which is just a recipe for a very small and straitjacketed sort of life. And it may also be true that the realms that you want to be in are occupied by a lot of people that, you know, you really disagree with, that are going to demand some kind of assent to propositions that you don't find moral. All of that is a real feature of life now. So you have a few options. One is to go away and build your own theater troupe, build your own school, build your own whatever. And that's always been my kind of impulse. That's sort of why I did this show. That's why I write in the places that I do. And the work that I do is kind of, you know, geared toward, well, okay, like, you know, the institutions are not really friendly to a lot of the real kind of earnest search for the good and the true and the beautiful as I understand it. But I have a lot of, you know, kind of cultural capital that I've accumulated from those institutions. And I want to offer those to people that do care, because there are a lot of people I think that, you know, love the true, the good, and the beautiful, want to live righteous lives, and want, in fact, also to enrich those lives with art and literature. And so that means for me kind of like taking my show on the road in some ways. And you could do that too. You could form a theater troupe. You could say to a few people like, hey, we're going to put something on in my house. And it might be something that would start very, very small and then would grow, right? You might say like, we're going to just get together and do a reading of a Shakespeare play, maybe start there. And then if we like it and if there's kind of some energy going on, then maybe we'll like, you know, take roles and actually learn this play and, you know, learn a portion of it and just do it for some friends in my house, right? And you can find great joy, I think, in teaching that to people who maybe aren't naturally or automatically in that community. And sometimes you'll find that there's a lot of like potential there, and there are more people than you think who haven't done that thing because they think it's hostile to them, because, as you say, all the institutions are hostile to them. So that is one very real option. I don't want to discount that. You know, another is to like develop a pretty thick skin and, you know, go in and just try to be the like token conservative in these circles. That's not going to get you, I don't think, the same like depth of communion, especially if you're dealing with people that really aren't open to your point of view, right? It might be a very, very lonely road to hoe, or you might find that there's like, you know, some part of your life could be involved with pursuing these hobbies among people that aren't typically on your side, but like maybe your side can begin to broaden out. You can begin to bring those people over to some of your core beliefs. And there is still the possibility for like, you know, interaction and bipartisan engagement, even in this highly troubled time. And then, yeah, the other option is, as you say, to like kind of go into the stereotypical pursuits of your ideological camp. That's my least favorite one, even though I do like those pursuits. Like I like gym bro culture and I like smoking cigars and drinking whiskey. But I've said this on Twitter recently. I really don't think it's a recipe for a good life to seek out the things that are kind of culturally coded according to your political beliefs and then just like build your whole personal life and personality around that. I think that's pretty bland. I think it ends you up with a small life. So my preferred course of action is always the build your own course of action. I find a lot of delight and joy in that. You might too, in the way that I just outlined. But just, your other option is, I guess, to make a go of it, to make the best of it as a kind of lonely warrior in hostile territory.